Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Michaelantonio Live. Once again, today's episode concerns something very strange that happened today at the Syracuse basketball game in the ACC tournament against the Florida State Seminoles. Now, you may think that, it wasn't a big deal, but to Syracuse fans, this was huge. Because you see, Buddy Boeheim, the illustrious superstar son of Coach Jim Boeheim, is essentially the best player on the team. He's the star of the team and perhaps one of the best players in the entire ACC. So he's a very important part of the machine that is Syracuse basketball. Although this year has been kind of a tough year. I'm not going to argue that point, whether or not that's true. We know that's true. They've struggled quite a bit. They are now at 500, which means that, yes, they won the game today. Everybody knows they won. In fact, they just laid waste to Florida State. They destroyed them on the court. It wasn't even close, guys. But the issue that we have now is that because Buddy allegedly, I'm going to say this, allegedly punched someone on the court. And, the way they make it sound like he just hauled off and hit the guy right in the face and knocked him out. That's not what happened. I'm going to show you the video of what happened in a few minutes here. We're going to see what really happened. And I'm going to let you make the judgment. I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to tell you what I think about all this. And then I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions. The reason why I think I'm qualified to talk about this is because, yes, as a younger man, I was an athlete somewhat. I wasn't obviously at the level of these particular players, but I was able to play basketball. I was pretty good, and I experienced a lot of these things on the court. Anybody that's an athlete that has played basketball and done so in many different settings, whether it be formal, whether it be on the street, doesn't matter, in a one of those open court gyms where they have like the YMCA type settings. Any setting that you're dealing with in that situation, you are going to at some point get hurt on that court. Somebody's going to hit you the wrong way. You're going to experience something like that. Now they may say, "Well, that's just horrible. Look what he did. It's terrible." I got to tell you guys, this is part of basketball. Was it right? Probably not, no. But like I said, this happens all the time. If you're going to say that this is not right, what he did, and again, I'm going to show you the video, then basically what you're saying is basketball is just not right. The heat of competition is just not right. People who get a little bit, competitive and let their juices flow and maybe their testosterone is flowing a little bit, oh, that's all wrong. There's something wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean there should be a brawl in the middle of a game where there's, they're pulling out chains and, brass knuckles and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying that we should do that, but I think you have to put this in perspective. And Buddy Boeheim, so far, from what I see and what I've known about him, he has been exemplary. He's been a very good person in this whole situation and playing ball for Syracuse. He hasn't been a problem child. So for something like this to happen was very shocking. Now, I'll say this, for those who don't know, and I'm sure most of us do know already, he was actually suspended by the ACC for doing this. And again, what gets me is, and again, we get down to the legal issue of this, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And I want you to think about it because I think there's a lot of people, in my opinion, that have the wrong idea about this. They think it's cut and dry. This guy went out there and beat some guy up, and he should be suspended. End of story. He was terrible. Okay, whatever. You can believe what you want, but, remember something. This is not something that is cut and dried. Sorry, it's not. So what does he do? He hits, or I should say strikes. A lot of different outlets have been using the word strikes or struck instead of punched, because really it didn't look like a punch to me. Not in the not in the traditional sense of the word, or the the pure form. So I'll let you draw your own conclusions. So the Florida State player that he hit was Wyatt Wilkes. Now this guy, and I'm going to show you the whole video, by the way, of their confrontation. Not just Buddy and what he did, but what Wyatt himself did. And I can tell you right now, Wyatt, I heard that he put a video out. I don't know what he said on that video. I haven't watched that. But I can tell you that just from what I saw, look, Wyatt knows in his own heart he wasn't exactly innocent in this whole thing either. And again, that doesn't excuse what Buddy did, but remember, this stuff happens a lot. It happens a lot. So let's take a look at this video just to get a better idea of what we're talking about. Okay, so let me go ahead and play this for you. We're going to take it right up here and just pay attention. Okay, that's Wyatt hitting him. Now watch, see what he does? He kind of like uses his arm. Okay, so see, notice how they're kind of laughing? See how they're kind of laughing? He's like, in other words, Now I want to see what he says here. Can you guys lip read? Let's see if you guys can lip read, because it was very interesting. Let me see. Now, I don't know what he said, but I can tell you that chances are, and I guess this was obviously after the game. If you see the score, you know it was after the game. So I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself that he was apologizing, obviously, and they were both kind of like, okay, whatever, no harm, no foul. But watch, I want to show you this right here again. Let's go back to this. Now, I don't know if you noticed this. And again, I'm not going to make this seem like Mr. Wilkes here was the cause of everything and he's a terrible person as well. No, he's not. I mean, this is what happens in basketball when you're trying to gain leverage over another player. Because again, you can't look at basketball through the lens of one particular moment. You have to see an entire game or an entire situation between two people. You have to see what's going on here, the dynamics of what's happening. And I'll tell you that right now, Wilkes, you can tell that he's had some run-ins here with Buddy, and Buddy seems to have gotten the best of him. And so what's happening is he's coming up right here, and he's going to say, let me go ahead and maneuver here. But watch what he does here. Actually, what he does is a foul. It is. I'm not going to call it a horrible thing. He's not a terrible person for doing it. But if the refs really want to be letter of the law strict, they're going to call this. And obviously they were not, because they didn't even call Buddy either. So, and we'll get into that later too. So watch what he does here. Bam. See how he kind of lowered his shoulder a little bit there and kind of banged into him hard? Watch. Let me see if I can. He comes over here. Boom. Boom. Lower shoulder. Bang. Bang. He hits him hard. I mean, it's now, when it's stop motion, it's hard to see that. But he was really, let me do it again. I'm going to do this again in regular speed for you to see this. Watch. Down. Bam. So he lowered his shoulder, hits him. No. Like I said, that is not, that right there is not an indictment on Wyatt Wilkes. It's not. He was doing what any guy would do in this struggle between players. I have been, and I'm going to recount my experience, because the reason why I want to recount my own experiences as an athlete is because I've been involved in some scuffles, not so much that I threw fists or got violent with anybody on the court, because I really wasn't like that on the court. I didn't play like that. I was competitive, but I was also very respectful of the other team's talent. And even if a guy was beating me on the boards, especially the boards, because I was skinny when I was younger. I was thin, not super strong under the boards. So, a bigger guy could have his way under there, and with me in that situation. So really, but I've been on the receiving end of some really brutal attacks. And again, not because they were trying to be bad to me, but because they wanted to win as much as I did. And so, inadvertently, they would be very rough and tough. And you get into some I mean, you get into some scuffles under that basket, man, and it's just, anybody who's not an athlete, who hasn't been in that, you don't know what it feels like. I've played against college-level players. I've played against some pros, and I got to tell you, it's brutal. You have no idea unless you're in it. And even against players of your own caliber, when I was in high school, I actually had to have a root canal once because someone hit me in the face as we were going for a rebound. And you know what's funny about that? I don't think there was even a foul. I don't remember there being a foul. Nobody really did anything about it. It just kind of happened. Now, it hurt. It was really jarring, but I didn't think anything of it afterwards because I was like 16, 17 years old, whatever I was. And I just kind of, you shrug it off at that age. Even at this age, these guys are in their early 20s. They're not concerned, really, unless it's an injury that involves them not being able to play. They really don't care. I mean, they shake that stuff off. So that's what happened to me. I had to have a root canal. I got hit in the face, and about maybe the next night, everything was fine. Everything seemed fine. And then, like, the next night, I started feeling a sharp pain over my teeth in the front, under my lip. And it was bad. I mean, the pain was so intense that I tried to, like, smirk, make different faces to try to stop the pain. Like, how you kind of squint your eyes and you just kind of crunch your face up and really try to deal with the pain. I didn't know what it was at first, but then an abscess started forming, and what had happened was, in the impact, it affected my tooth. It loosened a tooth and caused there to be a trauma to the tooth, which literally killed the nerve, and that's what causes you to need a root canal in that situation. So that's what I was dealing with at that time. That's what I was dealing with. And obviously I wasn't at this level where I was going to be worried, or somebody was going to be worried about a suspension. But the point I'm making is that if this is happening even at this level, I think they're making a bigger deal. And again, my opinion, guys, I know some of you may not agree with me, but let's look at this again, how this happened. He comes up on him, wham, hits him hard, and look, hits him. And now look, see what he did? What had happened was Buddy was frustrated because he hit him. Something must have hurt Buddy or affected him in some way where he was like, oh, you're going to get the best of me? You're going to hit me like that? Well, then I'm going to get you. This is what happens on a court in that situation. Somebody comes up and really gives you a good one. Look at the impact. Watch. Bam. Right there. Now, I don't know if you've been hit in the shoulder like that before at high impact with a guy that's, first of all, bigger. That guy was actually heavier than Buddy. When somebody hits you like that, it really affects you. It hurts. You can cause a lot of damage. I've been hit in the shoulder before so intensely that it literally broke a rib. So I broke a rib. Somebody broke my rib. It happens. This is sports. And again, I'm not excusing Buddy's anger, but it just seemed like there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. And isn't that little phrase appropriate here? Because look, see what he did? It really wasn't a punch as they portrayed it in its purest form. Again, when you say punch, you think some straight on fist to the face or fist straight in. He hit him on the side with his forearm. Do you notice that? With his forearm. Watch. Forearm. Now, maybe some of the side of the fist got into the solar plexus. But you know what? You could tell Buddy wasn't using his full force. That was a love tap. That was a tap of him saying, you know what? You kind of came in hard on me, and it should have been a foul. And I think that's what happens a lot with a player when they get hit like that. What happens is that the other player feels like, why aren't the refs calling this guy? Maybe this guy had been, this Wyatt Wilkes had been doing this to Buddy throughout the game. Maybe in the other games they had this year. They had 2 other games this year. And so maybe they're thinking, this guy is kind of a dirty player. He does this stuff. And you get some of those guys. Some of those players are dirty because they don't have any other way to get taken advantage. They have to be violent. That happens sometimes. I'm telling you. I know some of you don't believe that, but that is the truth. That's the God's honest truth. That happens quite a bit in sports. There's a lot going on very quickly. You don't have a lot of time to react. And people can say, it's easy for you out there, the viewing public, anybody, a fan, a non-fan, whoever's watching, if you hate the team, you love the team, doesn't matter. What happens is you get people who think they've never really played the game in that way, to that level, and they think, whatever, it's not a big deal. It's not really a big deal. And I'm here to tell you, I've played at the level where it's very competitive. You want to win. It's not just a little pickup game. Look, we're in league play. It could be that we want to get the better record. We're fighting for the championship of the league, or it might just be, man, we've been down on our luck, and this is the best team in the league, and we want to show these guys up. We want to show them what we're worth. And so you get very competitive. The juices start flowing, and sometimes you don't even know what's happening. Before you know it, you ended up hitting the guy inadvertently. It may look like, he was doing it on purpose, but it's like an inadvertent, it's a reflexive response by especially men. We have this thing, and it's like, wham, you don't even know what's happening. There's been times when I've been playing on the court, and I mean, the adrenaline is there, and you're just fighting hard. You get done, you go into the locker room to get dressed and maybe shower, whatever you're doing. And all of a sudden you notice, you look at it, you see like a big scratch or something, or a gash on your arm or face or whatever. And you're like, how did that get there? You didn't even feel it, because your adrenaline is flowing so hard that you didn't feel it when it happened. But as you start to cool down and calm down, your body goes back down to a normal level. All of a sudden you start feeling these things. So I think it's very easy to say, well, suspend this guy. He was terrible. Look what he did. It's unconscionable. And I'm going to say this, guys, and I know a lot of you don't agree with this. I know a lot of you think, oh, come on, man, that's the old day. Well, I had somebody, and I got to mention this. There's a couple of guys that I watch, and I'm going to give them a shout out, because I think they do a very good job of analysis, by the way. It's, what is it, Tim Leonard and Tyler Aki from Locked On Syracuse. They do a great job of analysis for all of Syracuse basketball and football, by the way. I really, I can't knock them for the great job they do, but I got to tell you that this time around, I was watching them today, and they really kind of made me a little bit upset, because the way they were talking, when I told them about the old Big East days, remember the Georgetown, the UConns, Seton Hall, all the big rivalries. Let me tell you something. Georgetown was just dirty. The way they played, they were dirty, filthy. The refs let them get away with a lot of things. There would be punches thrown in the middle of a game. Nobody got suspended. There was no suspensions. They just broke it up and said, come on, guys, play nice. Let's go. Let's keep it moving. Kind of like hockey. That's what it was. That's what it was. It wasn't, everybody thinks they have this romanticized view of modern basketball, and it's like it's got to be a certain way. And I think this comes from the weakening of society. Society is being, is being diluted. I guess that's the best word, diluted. They dilute the constitution of the human mind over here and the human experience, to where everything is, if there's any kind of action where somebody gets hit and hurt and in the middle of competition, remember, competition, you take on the risk when you get in those kind of competitions. Any kind of contact sport. Basketball is, in fact, a contact sport. Maybe not as much as football is, but it is a contact sport. And when you go in there and play, you're signing up for the violence that is basketball, or any of the sports. That doesn't mean, again, you're going to go in there and throw fists every 5 seconds. But what it does mean is sometimes you're going to get hurt. Things are going to happen. You're going to get in scuffles. And I got to tell you, if you were playing for Syracuse or Georgetown or UConn back in the 80s and 90s, let me tell you, you were involved in some scuffles. I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to remember who threw the first punch. I think it was between Dwayne Washington, the Pearl, at Syracuse, and someone on Georgetown. Let me tell you something, man. Those were like classic battles. You didn't see all these suspensions and all this malarkey. It was like, man, just, break it up, game on, let's go, let's keep moving. Let's keep it moving. That's just that is the strength and vitality of humanity. And we got to get that back, guys. We have lost that. We have utterly lost that. And look, I feel bad. Buddy did apologize for what happened. But, I know what this kid is thinking. I know exactly what he's thinking right now. He's thinking, look, man, I really didn't mean to do that, but that was in the heat of battle, and it's not a huge deal. No, he's not going to say that. Because now the overlords, of the kingdom, so to speak, they're not letting us talk the way we really feel. They're not really letting people express themselves. And so the minute you talk a little bit out of turn, something they don't like, oop, goodbye. And this is what's happening. Instead of allowing them to just play, I'm not saying don't break it up. Break it. Go ahead, break up the fight. Tell them to calm down. Give them a chance. Maybe in that situation you tell them, okay, take a break. Hit the bench for a couple minutes. That's fine. But I mean, when you start doing these suspension things, what you're doing is you're giving any future opponents an unfair advantage in that situation, which I think is another very unfair and stupid thing to do. But what I wanted to get into was, I think, the elephant in the room. And I know a lot of people have said to me, they have said that in this situation, that really, it doesn't matter if the referees didn't call a foul and look for the, flagrant rating or whatever it may be during the game. It doesn't matter if they didn't do it, the ACC or any of the governing bodies of college basketball, they're allowed to go back hours later and go through tape and then find somebody guilty of something. I find that to be highly, and I'm going to say this very emphatically, I find that to be highly disturbing on many levels. Highly disturbing. And for many reasons. You're giving them way too much power. And you're allowing very dirty, nasty, unscrupulous people to get away and do some things, some very filthy things, some very bad things. As an example, you have, and this is the perfect example, the broadcasters for this particular game, okay, one of them was Jay Bilas. Jay Bilas he played for Duke. He was a basketball player for Duke in the 80s, and therefore there's a bias there. I don't care what anybody said. He can try to say, well, I'm not biased. There was a bias there. He's watching this game. Now, who's the next opponent or the winner of this game? Well, none other than Duke, the Blue Devils. So you've got Jay Bilas in his, bully pulpit there. He sees this play happen. And, of course, because you have instant replay, because you have the play, they can just rewind and keep showing you just like I'm doing here, right? So you can do this all day. Look, I can do this all day. I can just show this play all day. Look. Oh, now watch. Oh, look at him. Oh, look what he did. Oh, he hits him with a side forearm. Oh, how terrible. And, again, I'm not saying it's a great thing to do. It's not. That's not a great thing. But, these guys are, like, kind of more athletic than we are. It wasn't like he hit him with full force. I'm sorry. I just don't. I've seen so far worse that it's not even funny. And again, I'm not excusing him. He should not have done that. But what I'm saying is that, so now you got Jay Bilas here. He's watching this. The referees, mind you, and this is where we get into the legal issue of this. The referees go ahead and they don't recognize anything. I don't know if they didn't see it or maybe they just didn't think that it warranted any kind of a call. I don't know. I wasn't right there I wasn't in the arena. I didn't see what every ref saw, so I don't know. But the point is, if they didn't see it, there's a lot of things the refs don't see, never get called. So, but here's the thing. Now you're Jay Bilas. Now you've got video evidence of something that happened, right? Now he's talking about it. All of these, people, the broadcasters are talking about this now because Jay Bilas brings up and all these things are happening. Jay Bilas, again, he used to play for Duke. He's a Duke apologist. I don't care what anybody says. That's what he is, a Duke apologist. So now all of a sudden he says, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that should be looked at. The officials ought to look at that later and go ahead and see if they're not going to take action against Buddy for this. What do you think's going to happen? Then, of course, social media grabs onto this because, hey, this is fodder. This is fodder for social media, man. This, this can make people money. I mean, that's how powerful this thing is. So now they're talking about it. And, of course, everybody's got an opinion, and that's fine. I think that's great that everybody has an opinion. Even if it doesn't agree with mine, I don't care. That's great. But what I'm saying is now you got Jay Bilas saying, well, let's take a look. Now, let me ask you something. If this never happened, if the referees didn't see it, didn't call a flagrant, nobody none of the broadcasters made a point of it, do you really think they would have suspended Buddy like they did? Do you think the officials would have gone back and looked at that particular incident? No, they would not, and I'll tell you why. Because probably, and again, I can't prove this, but you know what? Chances are if you run through any tape of any game, college through pro, of even high school, I don't care what it is, if you go through with a fine-tooth comb through any game, you're probably going to find at least 2 or 3 of these incidents, in every game. At least. And rivalry games, forget about it. You'll probably see 10 of them. So here's what happens. Now because they did this, they suspended Buddy for this, now you've got all of these other people who, work for the other teams, play for the other teams, coach for the other teams. In other words, their people are now going to say, hey, this is a weapon. I can weaponize this video coverage. I can go through each video after a game, and I can get half the team suspended on the other side. So the next time, this is what can happen. And so what I'm trying to say is that, we get into this issue where if we can start going through every video with a fine-tooth comb, there's a lot of things we can find to harm the other team or other players on the teams. I just don't. It's a very slippery slope. It's not somewhere it's not somewhere we should be going to. We shouldn't be going to this place. It's not a good place to go at. And I think the best decision should have been today. The best decision should have been to simply not do anything. To say, look, the referees didn't call it. No harm, no foul. Look, if we want to go as far as to ask Wyatt Wilkes what he thinks, and he says, well, you know what, it's just whatever, heat of battle, it's fine. You know what, let it go. Because remember something else that's important to understand and know. For those who don't know, Buddy Boeheim is not that kind of a person. He doesn't do these things. Obviously, rarely. Today he did it, and again, not great, but the point is, he's not that kind of a person in general. Every one of us, and I don't care who you are, if you have no sin, you cast the first stone. You understand what I'm getting at? And what I'm trying to tell you is that you think that, oh, he did this terrible thing, he should be suspended. Let me tell you something. If you, and I'm talking to you, whoever you are out there, if you have that attitude, I guarantee you'd not be liking it if everybody treated you the way you're trying to treat Buddy Boeheim right now. I don't think you'd like it very much because, you probably would have lost a job or two. You probably would have lost some money. A lot of bad things could have happened to you if you were treated the way you are treating Buddy Boeheim right now. Now, look, it would be one thing if Buddy Boeheim was known for this kind of dirty play. I would say, you know what, this is kind of a final straw situation, but it's not. This is not Buddy Boeheim, and this is just not right. It's just not. So I want to let you guys know that I think that it's important for you to understand that, to take this in the context and perspective, for which it stands. That's where what you need to look at it. That's the way you need to look at this. You should not take this with this, microscopic view. Oh, this is what happened. Look what happened right here. Therefore, bam, do this. And I saw a Duke fan today talk about, Grayson Allen? That guy was constantly doing stuff like this. He was just a dirty player. Now, you could say, well, this was like a Grayson Allen. I mean, if, I know, as a Syracuse fan, you always wanted Grayson Allen kicked out of games and suspended and blah, blah. Well, I got to tell you, Grayson Allen did this stuff so much. Yeah, he should have been given suspensions as a lesson because he was so bad. He was always doing this. This is what he was known for. He was a career criminal on that court. Buddy Boeheim is not that. So yes, it's a shame. It's not a good thing. Now, lastly, before we go, I would like to say that from a legal standpoint, when you look at this, because the referees did not call this foul, I don't think really they should have the right to go back and look at this and do this kind of a thing. Now, I know that Jay Bilas said that, yeah, they're allowed to do it and this, that, and the other. You know what? First of all, again, Jay Bilas is a Duke apologist. The next opponent for Syracuse is Duke. The Dukies. That's the next opponent. So, of course, he's going to say that because, and you can say, oh, come on, you really think that about Jay Bilas? I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's me. I'm going to do whatever I can to give my team the best chance. So, Jay Bilas, what does he say? Let's go take a look at this. Come on, guys. Let's see what we can find here. That's not a good thing, man. It's not a good situation, Jay. I don't think that was right of you to do this. I think that should have been left alone. But again, this is not a Grayson Allen situation. Don't ever try to compare that guy to Buddy Boeheim. Two different leagues, two different situations, two different kinds of people. So I just wanted to say that. I think from a legal standpoint, the ACC really doesn't have a right to do this. And my hope is that Syracuse files a grievance against the ACC. I say even to go as far as to sue the ACC for doing something like this, because you are interfering with the revenue for the university. You're interfering with the fan base. There's a lot of things that are going on here. And if the referees didn't make a call, as far as I'm concerned, there's no foul. That's the way it works. Let me tell you something. When you were going to work this morning or whatever time you went to work or drove around somewhere in your car, did you violate the law somewhere along the line? I think in many ways you probably did. A lot of times we don't even know we are. We just do it. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you knowingly violated a traffic law? That's probably the easiest thing to violate nowadays. When's the last time you did that? And let me ask you something. Did you get caught? Did the police catch you in the act and you heard those sirens and saw those lights? Let me ask you something. What if you violated a traffic law, nobody saw it, but there was a video camera somewhere posted. Somebody was on a street corner with a video camera. Okay? Now I want you to, if anybody who's listening to this, watching this video right now, I want you to cut this clip out and I want you to show this clip, what I'm talking about right now. I want you to do that because I'm trying to illustrate a very important point here about this. Some people think I'm overdoing it maybe, but you know what? This is important to understand because this goes to the very laws and freedom in America, especially. In America. Okay. What if you just violated a traffic? Let's say you ran a red light or ran a stop sign, whatever it is. And there was somebody on a street corner with a video camera. And they caught you doing it. No police, mind you. There were no police. So in other words, the police which represent the law, they're the ones that are allowed or have the jurisdiction, to do what they need to do if they catch you in a traffic violation. But somebody sees you with a camera. Now, let's say that person goes to the police station, shows the video to the police, and says, look what I saw. Oh, and look, I caught their license plate. Why don't you go give them a traffic ticket because I caught them violating the law. Would you like that? Would that be something that you think is okay in America or really anywhere around the world? Would you like that? I'm just throwing it out there. Would you like that? Well, that's what happened here. Violations took place. Wyatt fouled Buddy, and Buddy fouled Wyatt hard. Yeah, Buddy did do something wrong. The video caught it. But the purveyors of the law, those who enforce the law, the referees, did not catch it. Or if they did, they didn't think much of it. So they didn't ticket, say it that way, they did not give a violation ticket to Buddy or to Wyatt. So now, here's what's happening. You've got people like Jay Bilas on the sidelines, on the street corner, with their little video cameras saying, look, see? They take it to the little officials there and say, see, look what I caught. Look, you got to do something now. Well, wait a minute. The law wasn't there to see it. The law didn't obviously see it or do anything about it at the time. So guess what? Sorry, you're not allowed to do anything. I'm sorry. That's just the way freedom works. If they weren't there to catch it, guess what? It's the old expression, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? It's the same way. If somebody violates the law and there's nobody there to see it happen, or at least nobody in this situation on, with the enforcement capabilities and power to do something about it, if they're not there to see it, guess what? It didn't happen. That's just the way it works. That's the way it works. And so what I'm saying is, guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. Now you can say, well, wait a minute. He did hit the other guy. So that was like an abuse situation. Maybe so somebody was wronged. They can file a complaint with the police at that point. But the difference is this guy Wyatt didn't seem to have a problem with it. In fact, later he even said so. So the point is, if Wyatt doesn't have a problem with it, right? And the referees don't have a problem with it, right? Guess what? It's not a problem, guys. This should not be happening to Buddy. So like I said, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please, I want you to like the video and comment to me. Tell me what you think about this situation. Tell me if you agree with what I'm telling you or if you disagree. I don't even care. I want to hear your arguments. I want you to change my mind. If you think that I'm wrong about this, convince me that my thinking on this is incorrect. I really would like to hear your opinions. Like I said, like the video, share, do all that good stuff, And if you're seeing this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. I really would appreciate that. And one more thing before I go, this is my website here, michaelantonio.biz. I have a lot of stuff on here. You can actually subscribe to my daily news. I get a lot of syndicated news feeds from different sources, videos and stories and everything else. And it's really cool stuff. So if you want that, and I also have some opportunities for you if you're interested in earning some extra money. I do have passive income opportunities on my little free money up here on the menu. You click free money on my menu of michaelantonio.biz. And you are going to be given the opportunity to maybe score some passive income if you are interested. Now, look, it takes a little bit of work. I'm not going to lie to you that it's not as easy as just filling out some form and you're going to make a lot of money. That's not the way this works, But there's a lot of opportunity here. And like I said, you can check that out at michaelantonio.biz/free money. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm in Buddy's corner here. I want Buddy to come back and play at the Duke game. Probably not going to happen. I'm not even sure if there is an appeals process in this situation. It would be fantastic if he did. But hey, if not, go Orange, man. Go Syracuse. I still think they might have a shot. Not a great shot at beating Duke. Duke is just really a good basketball team. They have a lot of talent. It's going to be tough, but hey, maybe the revenge factor comes in. Maybe they have a motivation to go in there and just, defy the odds. They did today. They beat Florida State. They just beat them at every angle, pillar to post. It was fantastic. So maybe they can do it again. They can repeat this. Let's see it happen, man. That would be so awesome, guys. But once again, I want to thank you for watching and have a great day. I'll see you later.
It's time for you to go.